Hi there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, the podcast where we dive into real, meaningful conversations with heart led experts who bring wisdom, insight, and a whole lot of humanity to the table. Together, we explore ideas that spark growth, that shift perspectives, and that help you live and lead more fully, both personally and professionally. Today, we're exploring this topic strong, sane, and satisfied, and you know you want that. This conversation is worth your while because strong, sane, satisfied people change the world, and it starts with you. So if you're craving the energy, the presence, and the peace to show up fully for your family, for your work, and for yourself, this episode offers grounded, doable guidance. And there's no better time than now, because the sooner you take the reins on your well-being and learn to manage all of life's moving parts with more ease, then the sooner you'll be living and leading from a place of strength. I'm Linda Bucher, and honestly, I do have the best job in the world because I get people unstuck. That is my superpower. I help high potential, multi-passionate humans, just like you, to find your superpowers to get to that next level and get the most out of life, because that is what you are here for. The way I do it, I'm a transformational speaker. I'm a master certified life coach. But before any of that happened, I was a chameleon, and I lived like the first 45 years of my life trying to be what the world needed me to be, but quietly feeling like a victim of circumstance. But everything changed when I stopped chasing someone else's version of success and I started showing up as who I really am. And then I aligned my life with my truth, my values, and my gifts without blowing it up. And I never looked back. But that journey, it not only transformed my life, it fueled my mission. And now it's my honor to help others break free from what's holding them back and to step fully into who they are and unleash their brilliance into the world. So, listener, you have a rich, full life to lead. You have gifts that matter, and you have a splash to make. So if you're ready to finally get up, unstuck, and get all that done, then I invite you to come say hello at lindabucher.com. There's so much goodness just waiting for you right there. Okay, back to today's show, strong, sane, and satisfied. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Mindy Yoder of Rest by the Willow, and Mindy is making positive ripples in a very beautiful, unique way. Mindy is a guide for women who want to feel better in their bodies, especially while navigating the demands of busy lives and constant travel. So welcome, Mindy. Thank you for being here today.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and who you serve and how you're making these beautiful ripples in the world?
I'd love to. I have been a dietitian for over 15 years now and just roped in travel coaching as well. I've primarily worked with women who travel pretty frequently for work and are planning family vacations. And want to feel better in their body. They're managing teams at work, they're executives, they're managing kids, aging parents, all the things. And
Mm.
the number one thing that every woman comes to me and says, I just want to feel better. And so I help them align their nutrition and self-care with all the day-to-day activities and busy lifestyle and help with those smoother transitions from work life to travel and back home again.
Beautiful. Well, that's a wonderful thing to do. Yes, we are juggling so much all the time. So let's start out by talking about why people do not feel strong or sane or satisfied. And we'll talk about like within their body. So what's actually happening? What are they feeling when you work with your clients? What do they come to you with in their bodies?
Oh, they're feeling a lot. They're feeling tired. They're feeling exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, because they've tried every diet out there. They've tried every supplement. They want a set plan and they've tried and maybe had a little success and then feel burnout and stop. And so it's this constant cycle of excitement, and then there's guilt and shame and failure. And when you're going through all that and trying to manage a business and kids and family and all the things, it's really easy to burn out and get down on yourself. So that's what they're coming to me feeling like. And like I said, every single one just always says, I just want to feel better in my body.
Yeah, and don't you agree that um, we feel the worst when we're out of alignment. Like that's what really is going on. We're trying to take on too much
Mhm.
above and beyond the real responsibilities, which are plenty, right? So we try to take on too much when we know we. I mean, I think we all, if we're honest with ourselves, we realize, especially women, that we're really trying to be Whitney Houston's I'm every woman, right? And I'm like, well, but if I'm honest with myself, I'm really not every woman. When I try to be every woman, I just totally get exhausted. Right?
Yes, yes. And I think in the realm of trying to do all that, and I love the way you phrase it of out of alignment. So many people are getting by on 3 to 4 hours of sleep. Fitting in activity when things calm down, or there's just so much that's trying to be crammed into our day-to-day life, that we have just been forced out of alignment with what works and how we really want to feel. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the reasons that I call it overing, and it actually threw that in like a webinar I was just doing. Overing. What are the reasons that we're overing, right? And I remember having a client who she would have been like your ideal client, and from that standpoint, she traveled a ton with her family. They love to travel. They were always packing up and going, maybe 1 or 2 weekends a month. She traveled for work. She had trouble saying no. She owned her own business, and she was very highly regarded. So there was all of these invitations coming to her. Can you do this? Do you want this job? And it was, freelance. So of course, to make the money and give her expertise, she was a writer. And so I remember, she was just so burnt out, just had no time for anything. And whenever something would fall through the cracks, she would so beat herself up, which is, a very common thing. People are like, oh my God. So I forgot to pack my daughter's goggles. What kind of mother am I that I forgot to pack my daughter's goggles for this? So, so I recognized that part of why she was overing was because she was trying to prove her significance. So that week, I gave her little growth activities. I would always give growth activities to my clients. Her growth activity was to write down everything she did. I know you got your to-do list, but then you can have your ta-da list, right? The things she actually did right on the other side of the page. So I had her do that. I said, but when you're writing everything down, then at the end of the day, I want you to go and circle everything that you did to prove your significance, that to prove to you I'm good enough or I'm enough, to prove to someone else that I'm a good mother or I'm a good writer or I'm a good whatever, and report to me next week. And the next week, she was like, oh my God, 75% of what I'm doing to prove myself, to prove my significant, to feel significant. Like,
I believe it.
right? Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah. 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 That's really common. And I think, I see the parallel too with women's relationship with their body and their relationship with food. And, in day-to-day life, they're coming off of lifelong comments from mom who's been dieting and followed plans. They've been early childhood traumas that influence the way they eat and their relationship with their body, workplace demands, kids that, are demanding. And so, yeah, I can see how, eventually they get way out of alignment because they're trying to please all those other, voices in their head, people in their life. And soon it's a little out of control. And that's where all like their metabolic health gets out of control. And so it's
Yeah.
a lot. It's a lot. And that's why all these products and pills and diets and things don't work long term because they're not addressing that inner self and that, long-term health benefit.
Oh, what a great segue. Addressing the inner self, right? Because
Hmm.
that's the real message here is what you need isn't out there. It's within you and you've got to tap into it, right?
Hmm.
Because so if you want to stop eating your feelings, you got to address your feelings, right? But
Hmm.
that's uncomfortable, but it's also uncomfortable to feel ashamed of how you feel. If not, I don't have enough energy to go there. I don't like the way I look in these clothes, right? Like that's also hard. That's actually harder. And it's harder physically on your bodies because then you're inviting real health issues, right? So
Sure.
let's
Yep.
talk about, I know you have like a method, like you call it the peace method, which I love the name of P.E.A.C.E.
Yep.
Um, to bring peace. And I know it's like this, it's got some inner work. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. And so my messaging and one thing that I'm always asking clients is like, how can you transition from like, how do I be perfect today to how can I just show up? How
Mm,
can we learn to just show up and do what we can given the circumstances that are going on? And so the piece, it's a plan. So what is your plan for the day or the week or your trip? How do you establish boundaries? That's a significant one right there. Kind of going back to what we were just talking about is how we, are always trying to like please other people. How do we, start having conversations with family or colleagues about what your needs are? And that's just based on one small, simple thing like, I need to walk through the terminal when I'm in the airport, or when we pull to the rest stop, I'm going to stretch for 5 minutes. Like, this is what I need. This is what helps me feel better. So, starting to just help other people understand how you feel and what your needs are. And then how do you start taking action once you've created that plan and established boundaries? And then C is one of the most important parts of how do you find comfort in that? How does that really truly make you feel? And hopefully that aligns with how you want to feel long term. And
mm,
then the E is to evaluate and adjust as necessary. So, if you're going on a trip or we're talking about the end of a busy week, we'll talk about like how did you do? What things brought you peace and comfort and how did you feel well? What meal did you have that you really truly enjoyed? Like who cares about the calories? Like let's talk about what did you enjoy? Or how did you feel when you were hiking with your family and talk about those things. And so if you were able to find that peace while you were traveling, how do we bring that home? If you were able to find it at home, how do we do that while you're traveling as well?
mm.
So that you learn to show up every day, regardless of situation, but you're also not waiting for things to calm down. You're not waiting till you're 20 pounds later. You're not waiting till you have $10,000 more in the bank. You can do it every day.
Yes, yes, really good point because hoping and waiting is the most powerless place there is. I
Mhm.
know because I spent like 20 years hoping and waiting, hoping for something or someone to change and waiting for it to happen. And
Mhm.
nothing, it's just grief. It's powerlessness. It's just awful. So we don't want to be hoping and waiting. And I also love that you bring up this comfort, but mostly the focus. When our life is a series of moments and we look back on those moments and we say, that's what my life was. So if you are focused on what's wrong in your life, you're going to look back at your life and say, oh, life was hard, whatever. But if you're focused in every moment, like on what's good, on what's right, you will look back and you'll say, wow, I've lived a really good life. So bringing that focus, I love that you mentioned that, like, where did you find peace? Like, where did you find, like, it's like, so you took a walk through the terminal. How did you feel when you're doing that just for you? When you left everyone and everything behind it goes, I'm just taking a walk through this terminal. Look at me, I'm doing something for me. Like, doesn't
Mhm.
that make you feel good? Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be, like you said, I'll feel good when I lose 40 pounds. No, I feel good because look what I just did. I just took my little half-mile walk today,
Yeah,
right?
and then you
And I
build
know it's a half
confidence
mile.
and
Yeah.
yeah, you build confidence and then you feel empowered to do it again.
Right, right. Because it's really a series of tiny, small things in moments. And it's really about the right here, right now.
Mhm.
So that's huge. We want to remember to be in this moment because in this moment, we already have everything we need and it's within us, like how we were saying before. Everything you need is already inside you. It's just waiting to be revealed, right? And when you focus on what's right with yourself instead of what's wrong with yourself, you will
Mhm.
find that energy and motivation to give to yourself and those little things, taking a little walk, right? Deciding like I'm going to have the roll but not the butter. Or I don't know, you're a dietitian. Maybe you want me to have the butter because you don't want me to have just plain carbs. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying.
I gotcha.
Right? So just like I'm not gonna, because when we're in lack and we eat our feelings, right? Then if you say you can't have this, we're in more lack. It doesn't make any sense. It's not the
Yeah.
answer. Why would
Yeah,
you put
it's so
yourself in
easy to
more
go down that
lack to
rabbit
try to,
hole.
right? Yeah. So Yeah, so we don't want to do that. So yeah, so this is beautiful. I love that you have this method. And now let's just talk about what happens when we, like what happens. We're talking about becoming strong and sane and satisfied. So
Mhm.
let's talk a little bit about that. Do you have any examples or stories or anything you want to share regarding that?
Yeah, you know what? One client comes to mind that I'm working with now, and I think what happens when you start doing these things is you feel empowered and ready to help others or to take on your day and reach your goals. And I have a client who was not sleeping regularly. She would find little pockets of 20 minutes through the day to take a nap. Her eating was all over the place and a lot of history of dieting. And we've worked over time. She's sleeping 8 hours solid through the night now, and she's shifted her eating pattern back, and she's understanding what foods she enjoys. She's talking to family. Like there's just so many good things evolving out of it. And it's been really satisfying to witness that change in energy in her and her outlook and feeling of empowerment. And she's just ready to take things on and reach her goals and help her family and be there and ready for them. So I love helping others go through that transformation and see that it again isn't something external. It's just starting to learn and recognize like how do I feel? And she's great at reporting back of like, gosh, I just felt great today. Or you know what? Things were a little chaotic last week with change in schedule. Or, we just finished school a couple weeks ago and that kind of rattled the family dynamics. And she's like, now I know why it's so important to take care of me first, so I can be present in those moments that are a little off, I guess. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So I love, you said the word ready so many times. Right? 'Cause I want to give people permission to be where they are because sometimes we're not ready. What keeps people not ready is a low, um, like, do I even deserve it? Right? It's like this perception of their worthiness, which I work with all the time with my clients to bring that right up to 100%. You are 100%, a bazillion percent worthy. So we're working on that because a lot of the times this poor eating, not taking care of yourself, saying yes when you really want to say no, all these overring things are a big symptom of am I even worth it? And you touched on it a little bit when you talked about childhood trauma because that's usually where it comes from, and our child's brain cannot process what's going on and it becomes traumatic, things that as an adult wouldn't be traumatic to you. Um, so or as an adult you'd be able to handle, right? And a child's
right.
brain is unable to do that. So this, some people may not feel ready to do anything yet, right? But what I like to say is what keeps you unready, besides that not being sure you're worth it, but I think most people know they are at a cellular level because it's just a perception problem thinking you're not worthy. It's not an actual reality because everyone was born a bazillion percent worthy and you still are, just like your children are. You can't earn it, you can't degrade it 100%, right? But I think what happens is another thing that keeps people unready is the unknown, right? So we have fear when we have the unknown. So when we know there's a way, there's a path forward, then it becomes less scary. And then we'll know when we're ready. How do you know when you're ready if you don't know what you're going to have to do? So I like that you've talked about this, peace method, as what to do. So before we talk about how they can learn more about your peace method, because I want to share that, um,
Mhm.
just something really small for the people who say like, well, I'm ready. Let's go. I want that peace method from Mindy. I want to, repair my sense of worthiness with Linda. I want like whatever. Okay, that's super awesome. But for the listener who says, I don't know if I'm ready because I don't know what I got to do, right?
Yeah.
What is one tiny small step someone can do today to
Mhm.
become more strong, more sane, and more satisfied?
I would recommend to take it back to that comment I said earlier of how can you show up today? And just take it from there. And it can be any element of self-care and just focus on that one thing. Maybe it is to have more energy from food. So even if just need to eat something midday, just that one thing. Just focus on, don't even worry about the nutrition value of it. Like just find something to eat so you are fueled. Maybe it's movement. Who cares how long, how far? Just walk to the end of your driveway and back. And if you did it, you win. And now do it again tomorrow. So just what is that one thing that you can do to show up? And just keep that little mantra in your head, like, how can I
Mm.
show up? And that helps you evolve from that feeling of, I need to be perfect, I need to be ready, to I can do it right now, no matter what. And it's just a little bit of something's way better than nothing. And the more you do it, the more you're going to do it, the more you're going to do it. And it's really cool to just feel that momentum build over time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Has been really awesome. So I know if someone is interested in learning more about your peace method, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So the free resource that we've got, is that what you're
Mhm.
okay? So
Yeah.
yeah, that I've got a guide to kind of walk you through each step so that you have a little bit of a better understanding of it. But print that out, download it, and look at. I go through the explanation of each step like I did earlier, and um, look at it under the lens of how can I show up today? So just pick that one thing, is it, I want to pack snacks for my trip, and just walk through the process, the 5 steps based on being prepared with snacks for your trip. What do you need to do to put that in action? I need to grocery shop. I need to talk to my family that I need to get out of the house after dinner tonight to go get the snacks for the trip. So just take the steps based on something like that. And you do it a few times, you're going to reference the guide. We talk about it in sessions if you're working with me, and then it just becomes your new frame of mind of how do I show up. So it helps you start to, again, go internally and find how, what steps do you need to take to feel better, rather than looking at always that extra product or pill or something.
Beautiful. Thank you. I love how you don't have to be like, here's the peace method to apply to your life at a macro level, that you can just
Oh
do
yeah.
it in one
Yep. We're
little
not going to
thing.
overall.
And then you get good at it. And it becomes like how you move through things. So that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I will be sure to include the information on how to get that guide in the episode's description. Okay, so that's our show. Once again, I'm Linda Bucher, on a mission to inspire and impact millions of people to know their worth and share their gifts, deliberately creating big, beautiful ripples in this world. And if you're ready to finally get unstuck, get to the next level, and get the most out of your life, head on over to lindabucher.com, because that's a first great step. And if this episode sparks something in you, be sure to like it, subscribe to this podcast, and share it with someone that you care about. And then come back next week for another honest, uplifting conversation to help you grow. Until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.